I'm in Virginia.
Oh, so I was telling Brittany that I can totally go earlier than 9 o'clock. I didn't realize that you were on the East Coast, so I am really
Okay,
super comfortable. If we need to do it earlier, I can do that.
perfect. Well, I saw the it does say live now, Brittany. So we
Okay.
are.
Okay.
Um, I can. This just kind of was the latest time I could go when Chrissy said she wanted to do later. It's actually hitting school runs. The beginning of the school runs, I usually leave just after 1 o'clock East Coast time to start picking kids up. So
Okay, well, if we need to go earlier, I don't know about you, Brittany, but if we need to go earlier, I can totally do that.
Yeah, I can too. I mean, I'm pretty flexible, so.
okay, this time works for me, or we can go earlier. My day starts at 5:30 for seminary run, so which I'm sure is way earlier than you guys want. So
So just to get to know you a little bit, Jody, how many children do you have?
we have 6 right now, so ages 20 to 13 or 12. Sorry, 12 to 20.
Wow, you're busy.
Yes, you are busy.
I have 3 children, but they're all married, and we have 11 grandchildren. So I'm the old lady of the group.
Hey, well, you look great for being, having 11 grandchildren. You wouldn't guess that you were, that had happened.
Oh, thank you very much. I love my grandchildren. They're the best. They're
So
just.
do your kids all live by you?
Oh, no. No, we're actually from Idaho, from eastern Idaho, the Blackfoot area. And we farmed there when we were raising our children. We were on the family farm, and then about, I don't know, 12 years ago, my husband, he left the farm. We left the farm and went back to school. He's a social worker. He works for family services. And so we moved away from our kids instead of them moving away from us.
So do they all still live in Blackfoot?
Do they all what?
Do they all still live in Blackfoot?
No, we've got none of them. We left the farm, and so then that kind of forced the boys out. We have 2 sons and a daughter, but we've got we have one. Our oldest lives in Rexburg. He's going to school, and our second son lives in Idaho Falls. And then our daughter lives in Twin Falls. So they're all closer to each other, but don't live together.
That's awesome. So I'm originally from Rexburg, but me and my husband have lived in Moses Lake, Washington for the last 4 years.
Oh, nice.
So yes, we love East Idaho.
Yep,
And is that
it's a
where
good
you're
place.
at now? Washington State, or are you in California?
I'm in Washington State, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty, do you guys want to get started?
Yep.
Okay, so I pull up those questions really quick. Let's see. Okay, so did you guys do the activity where you had to put the definitions in order of how you think they should go?
Yeah. I found that really hard.
I found it really hard too.
Our second son lives in Idaho Falls, and then our daughter. Oh, no, what's going on? So they're all closer to each other, but I think we've got the broadcast going on behind us.
Okay, I think did it stop? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I think that it stopped. We'll see if that happens again. That was kind of weird. Okay, so Jody, how about you start? Did you get all the way through? To be honest, I didn't get all the way through. It was really hard for me.
You're talking about putting it in numerical order of how we define family?
Yes.
Well, I did, but I thought I don't have a clue if this is right.
That's why I stopped because I didn't think I was doing it right.
What did you guys put as the first one? I did number 2.
I did too.
What
But
about you, Rosla?
I first had put number 1 first, but let me just reread number 2. Yeah, I think 2 or 1 could really fit in the first, because the one says 1 or 2 parents, and the second one says 2 or more people. So,
okay,
That's
see,
okay.
I didn't catch that. I did the first one. I didn't like it because it said one parent, 1 or 2 parent. But then you pointed out that it's the difference between parent and people.
well, and then the other thing, the reason that I put number 1 first was that it said it's a fundamental social group. So that just made me think more of it's a traditional, it's fundamental to society is why I did number 1 first.
Okay, yeah.
But I think those could probably be a little interchangeable,
Um,
perhaps.
Jody, why did you choose number 2 first?
Um, because I thought it was going more for the spiritual with the shared goals and the long-term commitment. So I was trying to think of the I saw it more in line of a covenant.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I liked how it said that it dwells in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That I kind of. So what do you guys think? 1 or 2?
Um, I'm still more inclined with 2, but I could go the other way. I could go with 1.
Two is fine. Yeah, I I think 2. I think either one of them um, could work to define the family.
Okay, well, we'll go with 2. I like how you kind of were talking about that spiritual, you know, and how they have shared goals, long-term commitment. It does bother me though, now that you point that out, that it doesn't say parents, it says people, but you know what, we'll go with 2. And I think it's interesting now that I read it, it says 2 or more people have shared goals and long-term commitment to each other. And, I could see that some people maybe look at it as polygamy, having 1 or 2 more spouse. But I think going back, reading over all of them, I think number 2 kind of does go a lot more along the lines of what we, in terms of spiritual wise, look at family to be. So.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So do
Okay,
we want number 1 as our second then?
that's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, well, it should. I think so. What do you guys think?
I would pick number 1 second over the other choices, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go number 1. Okay, now I think it's harder because I'm like, I don't know which one comes before others. So you kind of help. What do you guys think?
Maybe 3 or 4. It could go either one.
No, right?
I put 4, but now that I'm reading it again, I'm like, well, maybe it's 3.
What do you think, Rosla?
Um,
Well, I think I don't know for sure, but um, number 4 to me, my first thought when I read that is more of a family of origin. So it could be, grandparents, a generational group living in one, living together.
Okay.
And not even really necessarily living together.
a group of persons sharing common ancestry, I think is definitely what is it exactly? A definition of the family? Is that what?
Yeah.
How would you define a family? I think I would definitely maybe put number 4 next, simply because they share common ancestry.
Okay, yeah.
4 and 5, maybe group those two almost together because their lineage and their ancestry.
Right, right. So maybe we'll go 4 and 5. Is that okay with you, Jody?
Okay, yep, that's good. And I'm recording it, so I'm writing it down for us.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I don't know if any, but
I am too, but like, yes, keep me on track and you will help each other, so make sure I get it right. Okay, so then should we go to number 3? Because I like number 3 better than I like 6 and 7.
yeah, me too. What about you?
So say that again, sorry.
I'm doing number 3 before we do 6 and 7.
Oh, okay. So putting number 3 as 5?
Yep.
Okay.
And what do you guys think about 6 and 7? Which one do you think goes above the other?
Yeah, they both were bad.
Yeah, I don't think number 6 really to me has anything to do with family.
Me neither.
Yeah, I put 6 last. I did 7 and then 6 is my last.
Let's do that then. We'll do 7 and then 6. Okay, so looking at this, and the question is, what was challenging about this activity? What do you guys think? I think it was hard all around.
Well, I think some of those answers fit into what the world views as family nowadays, and not necessarily the family as distinguished from our belief. But some of those, all the members of a household under one roof, or, whatever, I think some of the definition of some of those is probably more worldly.
Yes, I agree. What do you think, Jody?
I agree. I found it very vague and kind of like a lot of gray area, trying to figure out exactly what they were even trying to say for each number.
Mm-hmm.
And never did I really see one answer that I was comfortable with if I had to choose my family,
Right.
I would say, oh, that's us right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, number 2 is the closest. If it would just say two parents, I think, then I'd be like, okay, yep, that's it. But where it says 2 or more people, yeah, I think it kind of goes back to a gray area. Like, what do you mean 2 or more people?
Okay. So I'm trying to write down a little summary for us because the last 2 minutes has to be a summary.
Okay, yes.
So should I kind of review what I just typed up real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Answers fit into what the world viewed as family and not necessarily as we view it in the church. No clear definition of what the church views as family.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on. You guys read the article by Sister Beck.
Yep.
What did you guys think about it? What are some things that stood out to you?
I was telling my husband that I think for every class that I've taken in school since I've been back in, we've had to read this talk. And, the very first time I read it, and I don't know, maybe you're probably way brighter and pick up on things way faster than I do. But, and I remember listening, when I was teaching seminary, I actually remember listening to her speak in the broadcast that the seminary teachers had to go to. And I remember, at that point, feeling so, the part that really struck in my heart was when she said that marriage and bearing children is a faith-based work. and that there's no logical reason sometimes to have a child except that Heavenly Father says it's time and you do it because you go on faith that, you know, that's all part of the plan. But then when I read it again a couple of semesters ago, the theology of the family just resonated, and it's almost like the gospel, that the loop was closed for me when she talked about the creation, the fall, and the atonement, that all three of those things have everything to do with the family. And I have thought about that so much, and I have referred back to that during lessons and talks and everything, that really life is all about the family. And it just, I don't know why I never got that before. I mean, I'm old enough that I should have gotten that concept, but I didn't. And now I do, and it's amazing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I also thought it was so neat as she talked about how, you know, yeah, the family, any aspect in our church or in the world, you know, the family has a huge impact on it, and vice versa. So I like how you pointed that out. What about you, Jody? What are some things that stood out to you in the article?
I guess until last semester, you know, I was raised in an inactive family and have gone in and out of activity myself. And last semester is the first time I realized with one of the articles that the family is the plan of happiness. And it said that, and I didn't know that. And that's going very much with what Rosela said. And this article, again, was saying that. And I didn't realize that anything against the family is anti-Christ. And so I feel like I'm in so much of a learning stage right now in understanding these basic principles. So it just helped me, again, to realize how family is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. Okay, so we'll go on to some of the questions, and I'm sure that you guys have a lot more to share on these about some of the things that stood out to you. So the first one that it says we should talk about is, how well do you think the average young adult understands the doctrine of the family? Rosal, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm basing it off of what my knowledge is and what I understood, and I know that I was a young adult a lot of years ago. But just my understanding as new doctrine, I mean not new doctrine, but new teachings have come out and everything, I personally do not feel like on an average that young adults understand how important it is to have a family, to get married. I have a niece who is married and married in the temple. They're active in the church, but they don't feel any need to have a family. And my sister said to her daughter, well, have you prayed about it? And she said, yes, and Heavenly Father told me I don't have to have children. And she said, you're lying, because Heavenly Father would not tell you that. And so I feel like young adults do not totally comprehend the doctrine of the family and how important it is to our own personal salvation.
Yes, you know, I think I'm right along with you, and I am still a young adult, and well, I still feel like it at least, and so when I got married, me and my husband have been married now for 5 years, and I don't think that I fully understood. I think I went into my marriage with too many expectations, and I blame it on the world around me and the media and just almost false advertisement, because you know, you read these books or you see movies and it's happy and all blissful, and me and my husband had struggles, and we still have struggles, and But something that has helped me personally is when we were reading the scriptures, you read about how there's adversity in all things and opposition in all things, and that includes my marriage. And that doesn't mean I have a bad marriage. And I think that's something that I struggled with when I was first married, because we would argue about something, and I thought, oh, I have the worst marriage ever. Like, why are we fighting? Why are we arguing about this? Which, now I'm grateful for arguments that we have because it helps us come together and it builds our relationship stronger. I've noticed that when we do argue, then at the end of the argument, it's like, oh, okay, like we were able to work as a team and work through that argument. And so that is something that I think, like young adults, they don't understand that you are going to have hardships and that it's okay. I think so many people, I graduated with a girl that was married, I think, for like 2 months, and they got divorced after. And I think that the world has just kind of made that the easy way out of, you know what, oh, we're fighting, we're arguing. This isn't what marriage is supposed to be about. This isn't what my family's supposed to be like. So I think that young adults, I wish that when I was first married that I knew that it was okay that we argued because it was helping us become one through our opposition and through our adversity and our trials. It really has strengthened our marriage, even though at that time it doesn't feel like it's strengthening our marriage. And then my husband actually is a assistant basketball coach here for the community college. And so for the girls, so we have a lot of girls, young girls that come to our house and hang out, and we talk a lot. And when they come over, they're on their phone a lot. And she talked about, Sister Beck talked about media and how they can't have a conversation. Like they can have a conversation over text, but they can't communicate in person. And sometimes I look at them and I'm like, oh, like put your phone down, like have a conversation with us. And I ask them like, so are you dating any cute boys? And they're like, oh no, like, and that's just not a priority to them. And I just think it's so important to date, and I think it's important to also just prepare yourself for the roles. I loved how she talked about how, I'm going to quote it for you guys because I loved it so much. It says, motherhood and fatherhood are eternal roles. Each carries the responsibility for either the male or the female half of the plan. Youth is the time to prepare for these eternal roles and responsibilities. And so I just think, it's important for young adults to start looking at their roles as a wife, a husband, a mother, and a father, and preparing for those now. So that's kind of what stood out to me as I read this. Jody, what about you? What do you think young adults are prepared?
Well, 3 of our children are 18, 19, and 20. And both my husband and I, we've been married a year and a half, both previously from divorce, but both married in the temple and had spouses leave. And now we've been able, thankfully, to be married in the temple. But I know with our children, with my oldest daughter, who's 19, she's too scared to not get her education before she gets married, and that's not the church doctrine. And I have been trying to encourage her, but I think because she sees the circumstances that we went through financially when I went through my divorce and our struggles there, that it's very difficult when they've been through some life experiences that weren't the ideal to help them realize really the ideal's still there, and you should be shooting for it and trying and leap forward with that faith that things will be okay. And I also feel like with them that the media has very much desensitized them with things such as same-sex marriage, and when we will discuss those issues, they'll say, well, that's not I don't believe that, two women should be together or two men should be together, but I think they have every right to be married. And so I'm not sure. I think with the, they see my views as very bigoted or judgmental because I'm trying to protect the family, or I'll try to discuss that at home so that they can be part of those discussions. I'm not sure if I'm expressing myself well, but I think because society has taken this view that everyone should be able to do whatever they want, whatever makes them happy, that they're just so much more accepting of those wrong behaviors. And while I think we should love everyone, we don't love the sin.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, and I think too, your daughter has seen probably, I don't know how old she was when you got divorced, but she's seen the world in a way that I can't even imagine. I mean, she's seen the breakup of the marriage, and that's got to have some impact on how she feels about marriage. I would think anyway.
Well, and in our case, we were both married, I was married in the temple, but her father fell away from the church fairly early on in the marriage. And by the time we got divorced, there was pornography that the kids were finding in the home that I was having to throw away. He was gambling, drinking, all of these things that was their norm. And just to get our younger, there were so many times we couldn't go to church. My youngest daughter didn't get baptized till she was 10, just begging, please, can I get baptized? And when she'd come home from church, he'd say, if you mention baptize again, you cannot go to that church ever again, And so it was several years of struggling to even be able to go to church or express their beliefs. So I don't even know. I just have to have faith in the Lord that and I should have, I guess have been stronger during those tumultuous years for them, but then I don't know. So I just have to have faith in the Lord that He'll help make up the gap for those years and help them.
Right.
I like how you bring up having faith and how you need to have faith in the Lord. And I was thinking that when you were talking about your daughter and how she wants to get her education before she gets married, because she's seen the struggles that you had financially. And I have a friend that doesn't want to have kids until they have a good job and they're done with school. And me and my husband, we actually have 2 kids, and we're still going to school. And sometimes I have no idea how things work out financially or at all sometimes, time-wise. And I think it's through faith. If we do what we're commanded to do, or do what and live the teachings of the gospel and have faith, it just works out. And sometimes you do worry about, are we going to be able to afford things? Should I wait until I have a better job to have more? I think that through our faith that we can, things just happen and they work out. And that's what I think I love so much about our gospel is that no matter what, Heavenly Father will bless us as we live the teachings and we have faith in Him.
I agree with that, and I think too that I don't know. I just believe that we're a lot harder on ourselves than Heavenly Father is on us, and so I think, Jody, I think having faith and realizing that Heavenly Father's going to pick up the pieces that you couldn't do. I don't know how else to get through life except to believe that.
Well, and I think right after the divorce, when things were hard for my girls and I, we could see the hand of the Lord in our lives more than we could at any other time. Mm-hmm. And so I know that that helped build all of our testimonies and conversion. It's just trying to help get them past that hurdle to it's okay, have faith that he will take care of you. It's okay to date and get married and start families.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I appreciate you sharing that personal story and sharing with us. Sometimes it's easier, at least for me, to learn and as others share their personal stories. So thank you for sharing that. For the next question, it says, "Why do you think it?"
Can I do this summary really quick? I typed up a quick summary.
Yes.
Is that okay? On average, young adults do not understand the importance of family and having children. They don't comprehend the importance of the doctrine for our eternal salvation. The media creates a false image of marriage and family. Young adults don't understand there are hardships and how to work through difficulties. Many young adults are not prepared for their eternal roles.
Mm-hmm. I think that sounds
okay?
good.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Okay, so we'll go on to the next question that says, "Why do you think it is important that we study the doctrine of family at the beginning of the semester as opposed to the end?" Jody, do you want to start with that one? How about you tell us what you think?
Okay. I think it's important because we need to make sure that we actually understand it as we're defending and advocating family, that we understand the family the way the Lord wants it and what is actual doctrine, because sometimes we don't have that fundamental knowledge ourselves.
I think that's perfect. I don't have anything to add to that. Yeah, I totally agree.
And I was going to say pretty much the same thing, so that's perfect. Okay, and I apologize, my son just woke up, so you'll hear him for a minute. Okay, so the next question is, what doctrine or principle, if understood, would motivate a Latter-day Saint to advocate for the family? What do you think, Rosla?
I think that it is understanding the theology of the family, as Sister Beck puts it, that the creation of the earth was provided a place where families could live. The fall provided a way for the family to grow, and the atonement allows for the family to be sealed together eternally. I think if they truly understand that principle, the theology that they would advocate more for because in order, for the atonement to take place, as she says, the family has to be sealed together. A man and a man cannot be sealed. A woman and a woman cannot be sealed. It has to be husband and wife, male and female. Oh, sounds like our thing's back on again. So that's the one thing that I think if they understood it would motivate them to advocate for the family.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. For some reason, I can't see it, so I'm hoping that it will load in just a minute. But I could hear you. Sorry. Okay, it's what the Lord's way of living is. I think that's what's important for people to know.
Say that again, Brittany.
I think that it's important people of what he believes the family is and know, like you said, of it.
Okay, I couldn't get most of that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think maybe we lost it for a minute. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to load it. Let me see if it will load. I'm going to not touch anything. It's the Lord's way, the theology, and then that we need to know the Lord's correct way so that we can act the correct way. We don't know truly what it is, then not truly advocate for it. Jody.
I can't hear her. Can you hear her, Jody?
I can't hear either. Let me go back to what you said, understanding the theology of family, as Sister Beck stated in her talk regarding the creation. I was trying to pull up the talk, but I couldn't get it. The creation.
The creation provided a place where families could live.
Place for family.
The fall was for the family to grow.
Okay.
And the atonement, you're cutting out too. The atonement is for the family to be sealed together eternally.
To be sealed eternally.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I have that. I don't understand the theology completely, but when it's stated like that, it does make more sense.
Right. I'm not sure I understand the word theology,
Yes.
in and of it. I think that's the word that's okay. What does theology mean?
Exactly.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to see what the definition of theology is.
Oh, and that was our last question, wasn't it?
I think so.
Okay.
So theology is the study of the nature of God and religious belief, or religious beliefs and theory when systematically developed. So the theology then of the Latter-day Saints, the theology or our religious belief of the family. There you go.
Let's see. Okay, well, that was our last one, and I think we just, for some reason, Brittany kind of, except we can't end the discussion without her.
I know. Great.
She doesn't even show up on here anymore. I think her
Lovely.
computer be having issues.
Yeah, we definitely can't end it without. Well, maybe she'll join back in. So why don't you summarize it? Oh, look, she came back.
Oh, perfect. And you know what we did forget to do is we forgot to say our full names at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Do that. So maybe we better do that again.
Okay, sorry. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have no idea what happened.
No worries. That was the last question. So I think we're just going to, we forgot to say our full names at the beginning, so we're going to say them now, and then if you guys want me to do the summary, I can.
That'd be great. Okay, so I am Rosla Olson.
I'm Jody Cotton.
And Brittany Pena.
Okay, and for our summary, we completed our defining of the family, and for our numbers, we chose in order 2, 1, 4, 5, 3, 7, 6. And then the first question is, what was challenging about this activity? We found that the answers fit into what the world viewed as family and not necessarily as we view it in the church. There was no clear definition of what the church views as family. We found it a bit vague. How well do you think the average young adult understands the doctrine of family? We felt on average young adults do not understand the importance of family and having children. They don't comprehend the importance of the doctrine for our eternal salvation. We felt the media creates a false image of marriage and family. Young adults don't understand there are hardships and how to work through those difficulties. and many young adults are not preparing now for their eternal roles. The next question was, why do you think it's important that we study the doctrine of the family at the beginning of the semester as opposed to the end? We felt that it was important so that we know and understand the doctrine of family if we are to defend and advocate it. We need to make sure that our understanding is the Lord's doctrine, that we understand the doctrine correctly, and that we have a sound understanding before we defend it and advocate it for others. What doctrine or principle, if understood, would motivate the Latter-day Saints to advocate for the family? And we felt that it was important that they understand the theology of the family, especially as Sister Beck stated in her talk, that the creation provided a place for families to live, that the fall was a place for families to grow, and that the atonement is a place provided for families to be sealed eternally. And that was our group summary.
Awesome.